Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you live. We got an exciting roll today. It's a 1970S original machine wrapped roll. That's it right there. Gonna open this baby up and see what's inside. See what we can share with everybody on these 50 little cards here. I get my card stuck inside my bag and get us ready. How's everybody doing today? Eric Byer, Joe McBride, Jessica, Yomongol, Farm Dog. And Joe, I did get your package yesterday. I just want to let you know. It is here. It has arrived. All right. Well, let me go ahead and open up the roll. Get everybody started here. Hello, Scott. Adam. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Wait, that carries me back to about second grade. It's not even really morning. Not here anyway. Well, it's still pretty early in the morning out there on the left coast, I imagine. Guess that's why we don't have Paul Hampton with us. Jessica fishes for catfish. She'll take a drum here and there if she happens to catch it. Or a carp or a gar. Pretty much anything grows up the Mississippi River. Bill 457. I have mailed out what I had available at the time, and I'm going to make more because I noticed that I missed a few. So if yours is one of the ones I missed, it will be going out in the mail probably tomorrow. All right, here we go. Coin number 1 in the roll goes to Kevin Speak. Kevin Speaks will get this one. Let's see what we have here. Let's get it focused in. Come on, small dates, double dies, whatever we can manage out of this. And on this particular coin, I unfortunately see nothing on the obverse. Looking carefully around the 7-0 of the date because there's a number of double dice there. There's also bar L's. See if we have anything here on the reverse side before we give up on this particular coin and move on to the next. And I don't see anything special, so we're going to move on. This is coin number 1, Kevin Speaks. You are watching the Copper Coins channel. Reveal number 155. This is a 1970S original machine wrapped roll. Steve A. Let's see what we can get for you, buddy. See what comes out of the roll. They're actually pretty nice coins. Not that big of a deal with the coins. I just don't have anything doubled yet. Nothing really exciting. I need exciting to give my coffee a little punch this morning. That's coin number 2 now. 2 coins come and gone. Let's get coin number 3. Catfishing. Catfish. I like the catfish my grandma used to cook. I really like that a lot. In fact, I'm pretty much a fan of catfish at any point in time as long as it's cooked in a good salty batter. My biggest problem with catfish is the overbearing fishy taste, but that good old salty cornmeal batter takes that away. But man, fried catfish is some unhealthy stuff to be eating, that's for sure. Boy, I used to eat the heck out of catfish thinking that I was getting my good vitamins in. Wow. Not so great. Let's see here. Paul Hampton. Well, Paul Hampton, what is it? 12, 11, 10, 9 o'clock in the morning there? Paul Hampton lives in the great state of Washington. Let's see what we could pull for Paul Hampton here. Not seeing anything so far. To this day, I have never opened a bank wrap roll or an original sealed roll of 1970S Lincoln Cents and pulled out a small date. Best I've ever done was 4 small dates out of one tubed roll. Haven't found anything else like that. I have found a grand total of 1 1970S small date out of circulation. 1. Ever. 1 single coin. That right there is machine doubling for you. You see how your doubling doesn't really add anything to the overall feature of the 7 and the 0? You got a little flattening on the 0, kind of not really helping that out. But the other part I want to point out to you is that the 9 and the 7 have a little bit of doubling on the top, as does the mint mark. That's not going to happen. Mint marks are added to the die. There's more of it up here on Trust. The mint marks are added to the die long after the actual features of the design are placed into the die. So the die is finished, put in storage, and then pulled back out and punched with the mint mark. So that makes it quite impossible for coins prior to the change in how they made dies. That was in 1990 when they changed how they made dies to naturally include the mint mark in the design that was hubbed into the die. That's when that was changed. But prior to 1990, it is actually impossible to have a doubled die that also has doubling on the mint mark. Party Pickle. Let's see what Party Pickle gets. And still nothing yet. And nothing do I see on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse. The 1970 reverse design is a little bit fatter than other years, so it kind of looks a little bit like a Class 6 double, but this is normal. This is normal and it's common. Most of the time, there's only 2 spots that you're going to pick up a double die reverse on a 1970S, and that's going to be on the initials and on the base of the memorial right next to the initials. Not yet seen a double die that covers any other part of the reverse on a 1970S business strike Lincoln Cent. Now there are a couple of double dies on the proofs. One of them affects the initials and the other affects the NT of cent. It's actually quite nice. And there's a 1970S again. Nothing specific on this one. I hope we don't run into a dud roll here. There's a lot of double dies. I'd love to find one of them, or 2 or 5, or even 25 or 30 of them. That would be nice. And we got nothing on this coin. So we'll put one in the bag and tag and let it go. That's coin number 7. Let's take a look at coin number 8. Farm Dog. Farm Dog gets this one. And this one is... Not a double die around the date. Nothing in the motto, nothing on the I. And nothing in Liberty. So let's flip it over and take a look at the other side. Nope. Nothing here. Moving on. Let's see. I haven't looked over here in a while. I'm sorry. Party Pickle is here. Paula Bloom. Good morning, Paula. Bill, Scott, Dennis. I hope everyone's doing well today. Let's get John Brandon Bow up here for coin number 9. See if we can actually find ourselves a double die this morning. Looking high, low, up, down, anywhere we can for a double die on these 1970s Lincoln cents. Haven't seen anything yet. Definitely giving it effort, though. I am keen to finding something because I'm just in one of those moods. Alright, nothing there. I need to practice myself talking a little bit before I get on these so my throat's not all gimped up. Alright, Xander. Xander gets this coin, which does not appear to be a double die or an RPM. Nothing around the eye. Nothing on Liberty, but you can see how Liberty's a little bit soft here. Now, this is why I don't tell people to use Liberty when determining a large date or a small date. If you only see this, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not this is just a soft Liberty or whether it's just a soft strike. You can't really tell. So I look over here, and you see when I put the digits of the date straight across, just like this, you see how the bottom of the 7 drops down below the bottom of the 0? That's not going to happen on a small date. Small date, the 7 and the 0 are exactly the same height to one another. You can also see how the 9, the inside of the 9, points below the 7. It actually curls around, and if you follow it straight out, it's going to point down to somewhere between the S and the 7. Well, the small date, that points straight back toward the middle of the 7. You can also see how there's a little hump on the top of the 0. It's not completely round on the top. There's a little hump up there. Looks like a little tiny camel hump on top of the 0. That's a feature you'll only find on the large date. The small date has nearly a perfectly round 0. So the 0 is a completely different shape. Hello, Kevin. So there's a number of different little features that you can look at to tell whether or not you have a large date or a small date without having to use Liberty. I think Liberty is a, to me, it's an unreliable marker. And I just don't like to teach it as one of the markers to use. It can be used if you really know what you're looking at. It can be used, but I prefer not to. think we could have our first double die here. Yeah, it kind of looks like it to me. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to hold it off to the side. It looks like we have an L over another L going north. You got part of a crosslet there in that little lighted area on the inside of the L, and then you've got this, looks like a little pole sticking up out of the top of the L. So I think, I'm going to check the N of N, see if there's anything up here. I don't see anything up here though. It's all down in this area, but it looks like it could be a double die. I'll have to take a good look at it later, make better determination. But this one's going to go to Yomango. That's coin number 11. For the time being, we're going to call this die number 1 for the day. So we're going to see what we can scour up out of this stuff. Getting more glare. What glare? Glare from what? You mean when I put the coins under the little microscope here? Now I'm using the same scope I've always used for this. I went back to it. I decided not to even try to use my big scope for this show because it doesn't work well. It's I get way too much chatter in the action. So I decided not to continue trying to use it. Let's see here. I don't think there's too much glare on this. Not on this anyway. She got a big giant area of flat, like right up in the top right corner of the screen right now. That just happens to be that this is a nice bright uncirculated coin. There's nothing I can do about a little bit of glare. I can't, we talked about this, Party Pickle. I can't see your new image. I have no idea exactly what it is. It looks to me like it could possibly be a pickle standing in a room, but it's hard for me to see that for sure. I see my little things are, I mean, they're pinky nail sized, if not smaller than that. The only ones I can tell for sure are the ones that are just flat colors. Like Steve A. has one color and a little head. And Dennis Paulson has the same. Joe McBride, Steve Patat. Hello, Steve Patat. I didn't see you here. Jeff Dunn. Coin number 13. Jeff. Done. Let's see what we have here. Well, it appears as though we, again, have a normal 1970S Lincoln cent. We're going to check the L in Liberty because that's the only place that we have seen an anomaly so far this morning. Or this afternoon, wherever you live. It's definitely morning to a number of people watching here, as it's only 11:21 in the Central Time Zone, 10:21 in the Mountain Time Zone, and 9:21 in the Pacific Time Zone. It is only past noon here in the East. Jeff Dunn. And just think, my son is just about at dinner time right now, because he lives in Sweden, and it's 5 or 6 hours past my time in Sweden. I think 6 hours. I think it's 4 hours to Greenwich Mean Time, maybe 5 hours to Greenwich Mean Time. Then it's another hour or two from there across the globe to Sweden. Hey, that's a good thing for somebody to do. Go bring up a browser and type in Google and say, Current time in Stockholm. Well, you're not late, CVS. You just missed the first 13 coins of the roll. Part of a clash right there. Little bit of a clash. That's part of the back of the neck. It's 6:22 p.m. in Stockholm. It's Greenwich Mean Time +2. Thank you, sir. Shannon. Yeah, see, one of the things that you do in the military is everybody uses the same clock. They call it Zulu time. Zulu time is Greenwich Mean Time. It's the same thing. So when you would discuss something between, say, Germany and England, there would be an hour difference. But if you said it's going to be at Zulu 0400, then they know that that's that one time zone at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you just have to know how many off of Zulu you are. If you're -2, +4, whatever it might be. I think that's a very efficient method of making sure that everyone has the same time, because then we start getting into this. Was it going to be at 3 o'clock your time or 3 o'clock my time? But if we knew it was at 3 o'clock Zulu time, everybody would know. Make sure Google go off. Hey, Google. Find a roofing contractor in my area that doesn't leave trash all over the neighborhood. That is what the numbers are after GMT. So if, for instance, you say New York GMT -5, you just take Greenwich Mean Time and subtract 5 hours. And that's your local time. JC, I'm not going to play with your Google anymore. Well, I can only guess that your machine has good taste because it listens to my voice. It listens to me, everything I'm saying. Alexa, what time is it? Maybe instead of telling people to go search this or search that, I should just say it in the mic. That way anybody who has one of those machines... No, I don't have a cold. I'm fine. I did just get up an hour ago. It's about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours ago I got up. I had to go outside and get the name off the roofing contractor's sign next door, call their office and let them know that their crew needed to clean up the neighborhood when they were finished doing the roofing job next door. Because they left quite a mess. All that plastic sheathing that comes around your shingles when you get new shingles on the pallet, they just tore that off and let it go everywhere. Got it down at the pond, got it down at the corner and the gutters. So I called the company. Told the company they need to get their foreman out there to check over them, make sure that they're doing a good job of cleaning up the neighborhood. She said, well, thank you. I'll let him know. And I said, yeah, you don't really sound sincere. I'll let you know this. If we don't get resolution on that idea, and they don't get the neighborhood cleaned up when they're finished doing this roofing job, I'll just call the Cary police and have them call you and tell you to send somebody out to clean up the neighborhood. because it's going to be done one way or the other. She said, that's fine, sir. Thank you. Uh-huh. We'll see how that works out. Oh, they've left nails all over the road. See, the lots here are really small for the size of the house. You get a giant house, but it comes in a lot that's 4 feet away from your neighbors. You've only got about 4 feet of front yard and 6 feet of backyard. And so there's not a whole lot of space here. So when they're doing roofing on the house next door and they're ripping shingles off the house next door, they're throwing them up against your walls. Bounce off your walls and slide down to the ground. And like for their nail guns, they're running a generator. And it's just a noisy job. Really noisy job. Sitting here inside my office trying to get my stuff done, and I'm hearing thump, 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 thump. That's them out there with their nail guns, racing to get shingles on the roof. Well, because it's also raining out there now. I don't feel sorry for them one bit, but I probably should. Yep, I absolutely refuse to let someone make a mess and not clean it up. They should be more responsible while they're doing the job anyway. How about a trash can with a lid where they can put their plastic? That's not hard to carry around on a trailer. Throw away your mess as you're going along. Don't inconvenience the entire neighborhood and then promise you're going to take care of it later. Doesn't work that way for me, folks. As I sit here in my dark blue t-shirt with the red, white, and blue on the front. You're damn straight. I'm wearing a shirt right now that's got my nation's flag on it. I wear that around my neighborhood because I want to remind everyone that there is a patriot here. Mr. Rojas, if I may call you by your first name, would you please type your first name in so I'll know what it is? And if not, that's fine. I can call you Mr. Rojas. That doesn't bother me at all. Javier. Thank you, Javier. Spelled different? I don't know that I've ever seen the name Javier before. I've seen Javier, but not Javier. There's coin number 21 for quads. Unfortunately, we've only run into one coin that I think might be. See, Jessica, that's something they get paid to do the job. Their job includes cleanup. So it's not my job. It's not my job to police them. It's not my job to direct them. It's not my job to clean up after them. As a part of their job, they should keep their place clean while they're working on it. And if they don't, then I'll call their boss. If their boss doesn't do anything about it, I'll call the police and have the police make the boss do something about it. Man, I tell you what, we're not getting anything out of this. This is depressing. Joe McBride. Well, we've got nice coins that would be really good double dies if we could find one, because, I mean, there's a lot of nice definition to these things. They're early to mid die state coins, which isn't rare, but it's a little unusual. But these are the die states of coins that you want to get double dies in, because they show very nicely. Very easy to see when they're there. But unfortunately, so far, we haven't really gotten very far with this. Son of a silver stacker, how you doing, buddy? There's Mr. Fletcher. This, folks, is why double dies and repunch marks are worth good money. And you don't find them every day. And yes, while we have a good-sized crowd here, I do want to let you know that I do apologize for not doing any of the reveals yesterday. I was not feeling well. I slept about half the day. I was awake most of the night. Then when I finally did go to sleep, the roofing started. When they started their job, they woke me up because they were throwing my bedroom literally faces the wall that they're throwing shingles up against. So they're crashing shingles into my head, basically. So that woke me up. And, well, yeah, I didn't blame them for that. I mean, they got a job to do. Let them do their job. That's okay. You know, they didn't start until like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, so God bless them. They actually want to do a job and get something done and make some money for their family. That's good. But it did wake me up, and because it woke me up with about 3 hours of sleep, I was kind of groggy. I got up and I went in the living room, and I tried to sleep on the couch, and that's uncomfortable. I just can't do it. And after a while, I got to where I wasn't feeling well at all, and it was around 11 o'clock. I decided, yeah, I'm just not going to be able to do any reveals. So I just pushed everything one day. So here it is, Friday. We're doing Thursday's reveals, and then tomorrow, Saturday, we'll be doing Friday's reveals. So that's the way I've got it scheduled anyway. So right now we're doing the 1970S tubed roll that was supposed to be done on Thursday. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to do the 1958 Philadelphia roll. And then at 7 p.m. today, we will do the 1945 D roll. And then coming up tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we will take care of the 1955 S roll, the one from the Portland Fed. And then come 9 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, we're going to do that 1937 D tubed roll that I've been waiting to break into to see what's there. I mean, the cap's off the tube. I mean, it's like I could open it up and look through it any time, but I don't do that. I don't do that because I want to be just as surprised as everyone else. I want all of us to learn at the same time what's in the rolls that I'm opening. And another 1970S, but not seeing anything doubled here. We're past halfway through the roll now. So, kind of gives me an indicator as to what I should expect for the second half of the roll. And these are all die scratches that you're seeing. Excellent markers for something, but nothing that we're looking at presently. Because, well, you don't need a marker when you got nothing to be needing a marker for, right? Boy, what a wise, intelligent, prophetic statement I just made. I'm hard on myself sometimes. Here we go, coin number 28. Coin number 28 goes to Jim Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, let's see what you get. Well, appears as though we have another normal 1970S Lincoln cent. That may be all that's in this roll. Never know. We've seen our luck turn late in the roll before. Heck, just yesterday or 2 days ago, was it? 2 or 3 days ago. I can't remember what day of the week it is anymore. It was Wednesday. We did a 1955 D roll where we got one single example of FS503. It's RPM number 3. One single example. And it was probably 40, 45 coins into the roll. So don't get discouraged just yet. We still have a chance. As Jim Fletcher's coin. Coin number 28. And now, next up will be Steve Patat. Let's see what Mr. Patat ends up with. Hopefully, something and not nothing. Yeah, there's nothing on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse and see. Unfortunately, nothing there. So we'll bag it and tag it and move on to coin number 30. Coin number 30 today is going to go to Alejandro. Nothing going on there. Just not seeing it. Yeah, what was that? Just a little bit of damage. A little tiny fleck of damage. Fox Run Forge, how are you, sir? That's true. These are half a century old, 50-year-old coins. Can't say I remember 1970. I do remember 1971, and I definitely remember 72. By the time 73 rolled around, I was old enough to know what the date was. And everybody's got these little things that they remember about their childhood, whether it be something very vague or something very specific, but I have a very specific. It was the very first time that I can remember exactly what the date was. Exactly what the date was. The thing about the small over large date, JC Will, is that the small over large date's on a proof coin. These are not proof, so that would be quite impossible for this roll, unfortunately. Now, of course, we could find a small over large date in a die that has yet to be discovered, which, hey, you never know. We've found a number of dies that we first discovered because they had not been listed before, a number of them. But the very first date that I can remember, I was standing in my backyard. It was warm outside. I was out there playing with my dad's Weimaraner dog. And I looked back toward the house and saw the garden hose hanging on the back of the house. And I told myself, I'm going to go ask my babysitter what the date is today, and I'm going to remember it. So I went inside and I asked my babysitter what the date was, and she told me it's the 10th of June, 1973. So the 10th of June, 1973 is the first date that I can remember. Jello, Jeff. Yeah, and there's people like, oh, I graduated in 74, so I get it. People are all different ages, but I can remember I was born in August of 1968, and I can remember 1973 very clearly, very clearly. We purchased a new house in 1971, and I can remember that. But I really remember 1973 well. Hey, Coin Junkie. I had no particular reason for remembering 1973, and in fact, 1973 is when I turned 5 years old. I remember June 10th, but I don't remember my birthday that year. First birthday I can remember, I was 6. Oof, yuck. That was 1974. We got stains on this one. Not the prettiest coin, I'm sorry. I do apologize for that, Xander. We run into the weirdest stuff sometimes. Yeah, we'll run into brown coins in the middle of a bank wrap roll. It's just the way it works. Haven't found anything yet, Jeff. Well, we did find one coin. One coin that appears that it may have a bar L upward on Liberty. But we've only found one example of that, which may or may not be anything at all. So to answer your question, in general, so far this roll has basically been a bust. Given that we're 35 coins into it, I'm not highly hopeful that that's going to change. Brian Pruitt. And the crowd goes wild. I need one of those clap things. You know, where I can click a little button and a crowd cheers. I need one of those. Little sound effects. That would be so cool. John L., good morning or good afternoon, whichever one it is to you. Ooh, there's a little bit of damage on this one. Shaped like a fish. That's shaped like a fish. I once worked with a lady from Iowa. That's how she pronounced fish. It was fish. From a town started with an O, Indian name, just southeast of Des Moines. And I don't remember the name of the town. Joe, McBride. No, her name wasn't Jessica Johnson. Her name was Louise, but I don't remember her last name anymore. I worked with her for about a year and a half before she retired. Well, I'm not seeing anything on these coins. I'm sorry, I'm just not. It's just not there. I'm Batman. Well, let's learn something. What can I teach you? I can teach you something that a lot of people don't know. There's something that I think I was the first to publish this information, and now it's kind of widespread. So you may have heard it, but I do believe I was the first person to publish it. I'm going to grab a name for the next coin, then I'll show it to you. Eric Beyer. Eric Beyer gets coin number 38. And this is coin number 38. Okay. You see on your 7, where there's a crease, you got like 2 sticks stuck together and there's a crease between them, right? You got your cross stick and your up and down stick. And there's a crease in there. Your 1970S small date's not going to have that crease. So if you can see this crease, you definitely have a large date. If you cannot see the crease, then you either have a large date that's damaged or circulated, or you have a small date. So there's your little bit of edumacation on 1970S Lincoln cents this morning, this afternoon, wherever you live. I'll let you know that I started collecting coins in 1975. Around the time that I started collecting coins in 1975, I was looking for the small date 1970S because I had a red book that showed me little pictures. Those little pictures were almost useless. They were so small and they were black and white, but I eventually kind of figured out by studying those pictures that the shape of the 9 was different between the two. So that's what I decided to go off of in looking through change and looking through my dad's Heinz pickle jar. Had a brass lid on it. It was an old glass Heinz pickle jar with a brass lid on top. And he took a screwdriver and punched a slot in the top so he could put his pennies and stuff in there. And I used to go through that thing and pull out all the pennies I wanted. Of course, my dad would be like, well, should be pulling all my pennies out of my jar. What do you do with them, Dad? Well, you still shouldn't be pulling them all out of my jar. Okay, Dad. Ma, give me your purse. I want to look through it. My mom was always more productive anyway for some reason. I'd find a buffalo nickel or I'd find a silver dime or something like that. Yeah, pickles. My dad had a pickle jar that he put his change in. I kind of wish I still had that jar. I don't know what happened. It probably got thrown away years ago. Who knows? My dad might still have it in his dresser. What do you call a deer that can't see? Huh? What do you call a deer that can't see? A deer, like a whitetail or a mule deer. What do you call a deer that can't see? See who's on their toes today. This is one of those little 3rd grade jokes. A blind deer? No. Roadkill? Yeah. Well, it would be roadkill if it tried to get out and do anything. There's a particular word I'm looking for. What do you call a deer can't see? No idea. That's right. No idea. What do you call a deer with no legs that can't see? JC, stand up, buddy. You might get it. So what do you call a deer with no legs that can't see? I'd call it dinner, too. You ready for this? Still no idea. I'll wait for that one to sink in. Still no idea. That's right, folks. I don't charge for tickets into my show, but there is a tip jar. It's a pickle jar next to the door on your way out. Mr. Patet, coin number 43. And if we're not going to find anything in a roll, at least you're going to get some entertainment. Oop. We got another one. Okay, so now we definitely have something that's in the die. I will have to look through these coins again to be sure I didn't miss any of these, but this one is definitely the second one of these that I've seen so far. You see a little sharp bump right on the top of the L, on the top of the bottom part of the L, and then way up top on the L you'll see a stick coming up out of the top of the L. So this is definitely another one of our little double dies, or what I do believe may be a double die at this point. And as a marker, we have a little die gouge coming out of the front of the hair. Die gouge out the front of the hair. Now for coin number 43, Steve Patat. Should have been an announcer in a baseball stadium. Now batting left hand, third in the order. You ever been to a baseball game where the announcer could not sound more sad that he has to announce the names of the opposite team? Now batting left field for the opposing team. It always made me made me laugh, because it's like, you know, when you go to a you go to a Rays game in St. Pete. Been to a number of those. Every time one of the Rays players would come up to bat, he would announce it like it was Santa Claus just entered the room. Every one of them. Steve Longoria. Well, and then oh yes, I did like that video. It's one of those videos that Joe McBride sent me a video of the pine tar incident that happened back in 1985 with George Brett. I think it was 85 or 84, sometime around there. And if you're a George Brett fan, you know what I'm talking about, the pine tar incident with Billy Martin, the manager of the Yankees, pointing out that the pine tar went too far up George Brett's bat. He had just hit a home run and just basically won the game in the bottom of the ninth inning for the Kansas City Royals against the New York Yankees. And, well, they called it back. They called it back because his pine tar went too far up his bat. George Brett was fit to be tied. He just about came completely, well, he did come completely unglued. watching a video of that is pretty much akin to watching a video of your house burning down. It was horrible. It was painful. Thank you, Joe, for the memories. I only saw George lose his cool a couple of times. He was generally a pretty cool cat. Handled everything in stride. You'll always notice if you see a photo of George Brett, there's three phases of Brett. That's when he was young, his hair was just wild. Basically went everywhere. Sometimes he'd even go without shaving for a few days. Then about 1977, 1978, you could tell that his hair kind of changed more into sort of like a mullet type cut. And by 1983, 84, he had a short haircut. And those are the three ages of Brett. I'm sure there were more. Yeah, they measured the pine tar on the bat at home plate like that was going to do anything. Is there some specific rule about that? Because I never noticed. Doug Reese gets coin number 48 in the roll. Coin number 48 goes to Doug Reese. And Doug Reese gets, let's see, yeah, looks like it's going to be a nothing. When in that video you could see George Brett's mouth. They didn't blur that out back then, and you could see the colorful language he was using. And I was but a young teen. I thought he was going to get kicked out of baseball for good. The way he was acting, oh boy, he was hot. Yeah, I thought his head was going to explode. Sissy Atwell. Troubled areas? You talking about places where there's riots and stuff? I would too. But how do you know exactly where the troubled areas are going to pop up? I mean, because you could end up on the middle of I-40 in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and get yourself stuck in a trap. Hate it when I have to put it that way, but it is what it is, right? John Brandon Bowe will get the last coin in this roll. The last coin in the roll. And well, we don't have a double die on the date or a repunchment mark. But we do get one of those little things on the L. So that's going to count up for a third example of what I do believe is a double die. I'll have to look at it a little bit later to be sure, but this is the outside of the roll right here. And there we go. Yeah, I heard that they plugged up I-70 the other day. They're in the St. Louis area. Staying out of St. Louis, probably not a bad idea. Unless you like take I-64 over to 55 or 57. All right, let's take a look at what we've got. It's not very impressive, but we do have something. Something I'm going to have to take a look at later. So far, it appears as though we have 47 normal coins. 47 normal coins, and then we've got 3 possible double dies. There's one on coin number 50, 43, and number 11. 50, 43, and number 11 belong to Yeoman Gull, Steve Patat, and John Brandon Bowe. Corey Merrill, yes, you may, of course, email me anytime. But I will tell you that if you go to the website for this project, and I'm going to put it here, Party Pickle, yes, I did. You got one spot in this roll, I do believe. It's one of the normal coins in the roll, of course. Let's see. Pickle got coin number 6. Right there. I don't think you got more than one. I think you only got the one coin in the roll. If you got 2, I apologize. I'm sure you did get both of them if you ordered 2. Okay, so with regard to the Scent project, I need as much help as I can get with this. It's simply a matter of taking a box of pennies, sorting it by date and mint mark, and then reporting back to me how many of each date and mint mark you found. That's it. There's the website for it, thescentproject.com. You go to thescentproject.com, you can go to the FAQ there, and you can read the FAQ, and then one of the things in the FAQ is how do I register? And so all you have to do is basically send me your name, how many boxes of pennies you think you can do a sort and count on between now and the end of September this year, and what county you live in. And then I will pick what area, what region you belong in and everything else. But that's all I need is your name, how many boxes you think you'll make it through, and the county in which you live. And we'll get you taken care of. But you can go ahead and start getting your boxes of pennies anytime. You don't have to get them by the box. A box is simply $25 worth of pennies, and that's it. From any source, any way, anyhow. $25 worth of pennies, and then sort them by date and mint mark. I've actually got a link on there that discusses how to sort. But the easiest way to sort pennies, if you're going to sort pennies, the easiest way to do it, get yourself 17 containers that have snap-tight lids. Whether they be those disposable Glad or Sterilite containers, you can get them at the grocery store. You write the numbers 0 through 9 on 10 of those, and then you sort the pennies by the last digit in the date. The last digit only. So anything 1960, 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020 will go into one container. So then following that 3, everything 1973 and 1983 will be in one container. And when you finish your 10 containers, you'll have 10 containers relatively evenly full of pennies. And you can put containers 1 through 9 in the closet, put their lids on, put them in the closet, and grab container 0. You grab your other 7 containers out. Now you're going to sort by the decade. So you're going to sort those 1960s away from those 1970s and the 1980s and the 1990s. So sounds like an abacus. So what you end up with are a few containers of coins sorted by date at the end of that. And you've got just a few containers to look through. Then you can dump all those and then go to your number 1 container and sort it out. Go through those, dump them, bring out your number 2 container. It's much, much easier to sort coins that way than it is to try doing little stacks for every year or something like that. That's just, it's hogwash basically, because if you're going through a $25 box of pennies, and you're trying to sort it out by every year, you're going to have 50 stacks. At least. Now see, if you're sorting by the last digit only and you happen to run into a 1943 or I would say a 1953, it's going to be in your 3 container, and it's going to come out during your sort of the decades. So the first sort around, every single coin goes in a container marked 1 through 10, or 0 through 9. And I think that's the best and most efficient way ever to sort pennies. Also, here's something else for you. I don't have any reveals coming up tomorrow. Well, see, tomorrow morning, really. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is my first reveal. I may get up tomorrow morning and get a couple of rolls out and just do a roll dig. And when I do a roll dig, anybody who is present at the time, if we should find anything of importance during the roll dig, well, those coins will immediately be up for auction. And if you're the only one in the room, and you're the only one bidding, you're going to get it at the opening bid. Opening bid for everything will be $1. So I don't know what I'm going to open yet, but I'm going to work on finding something to open up. Whether it be it might be an old wheat roll, it might be it might be something I'm looking for RPMs. It could be something I'm looking for double dies. Who knows? But I might bust a roll out tomorrow, and I'll schedule it a couple hours ahead of time so everybody knows ahead of time that it's coming up. But I'll also post something on Facebook about it. Now, not any time in the real near future, I don't think, but sometime after the Cent Project is over in September, I will be starting a new show. And that new show will be called Copper Coins Mail Call. The Copper Coins Mail Call is going to be a show where I will take questions with photos about coins, about Lincoln cents during the week. And then I'll cut that off on Friday. Friday afternoon, I'll cut it off, and any questions I have prior to Friday afternoon, I'll go through those and make sure that they are content relevant. And then I will create whatever visual aid, whatever props I need to create to answer your question in as good a visible format as possible. So you'll have a good visual aid when I do the show, and it'll be an evening time show on Mondays. And I will take the questions from the previous week and answer them on the show. Now, you'll be able to be live in audience because it will be a live show. It's not going to be a recorded show. It'll be a live show, and I will have periods of time where I will answer questions as follow-up questions. Steve, answer to that is yes. I do have more of those. I will make them available during the next show. I think I've got about 25 of them left. Dinner? What about dinner? What, that we don't want to interfere with dinner time on that? Yes, sir, Mr. Merrill, I do appreciate you wanting to help. I do appreciate it. Anybody else who wants to help, just send me an email, cd@coppercoins.com. Here, let me put it in here. cd@coppercoins. Oh, I'm not typing in the right place. cd@coppercoins.com. That's my email address right there. Yes, it is 3 o'clock, Eric. 3 o'clock Eastern time. For now, I think I'm going to take off and go lick my wounds for a while over this 1970S roll, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do a 1958 Philadelphia roll. A 1958 Philadelphia roll, we're going to see if we can discover something new. If we don't happen to be discovering anything new, we're at least going to get 50 nice 1958 Philadelphia Lincoln cents. So I'll see you guys in an hour and 45 minutes roughly. Have a great one.